Oh my god, they actually did it! Ender's Game. Okay, so it's safe to say I have pretty much 3 favorite books of all time, one of which includes Ender's Game. And Ender's Game is based off this monumental book that a lot of people really, really love. And as you can tell from my intro, they pretty much nailed it. I mean, there's a few elements that they change here and there, but I mean, honestly, who are we kidding? The book is about 500 pages long. And that's exactly the moment that some guy on his computer who's read the book 600 times is going, actually, it's 533 pages. Whatever. After this alien invasion, and apparently after Independence Day, because Mazer Rackham flies up into the whole mothership and blows it up, and they all just go, pfft. Now that Independence Day has happened, we're like, well, we can't let that happen again. So we go out and say, let's train children because children's minds are much easier to meld and turn into who we want. And we'll take like the smartest kids and the most tactical kids and let's put them in a school and make them fight each other. They're up there learning tactics and they're in this cool combat arena occasionally, and they're on teams like Team Salamander, Team Dragon, and they all pretty much have this laser tag-like game in zero gravity, and they try and ultimately get to the other end. And that, in the book, spans about, I'd say, a good chunk of it, but if you want to keep it interesting, as the author, Orson Scott Card, said, as cool as Quidditch is, you don't want to watch a whole movie about it, so they played that really effectively. And at first you're like, oh my god, this is so awesome with the whole space Quidditch matches. And then you're sitting there going, oh, it's still awesome. And then they move right on with the story, and you sit there and go, okay, cool, that was so awesome. I love seeing that. And so it doesn't get stale. None of this movie gets stale because they're moving and they're moving and they're moving. They're like, okay, you passed your test here, you moved here, you passed your test here, you moved here. And that is basically due to the brilliant acting from Asa Butterfield, whatever you want to call him. He plays Ender, and he was also the kid from Hugo, and he did a really good job. I mean, there's some moments that you just see him emotionally, and you're just like, geez, man, you really have had to go through a lot. That really is just compelling. He's got great chemistry with Harrison Ford. He's got amazing chemistry with Haley Steinfeld. I was really cheering for their friendship because you believe it. You believe it. And I love that they didn't go the Hollywood route and make it a forced love story that was not in the book. They really stayed faithful. As I've heard before, and film school they tell you this, a successful adaptation comes from you take the essence of the book and you take the book and you faithfully adapt it. And as easy as that sounds, it's really challenging, and they did it great here. They took out the excess, because in movies you don't have time for that excess. So they're sitting there going, okay, well that storyline, people who read the book would know there's a storyline with Valentine and Ender's brother, and they threw that out there. Spoiler alert, that's not there. But personally, that was my least favorite part of the book, so that's not a bad thing. I only had one complaint, and it was about Valentine in the last third of the movie. I won't go into spoilers, because this is a spoiler-free review. I want you to go out and see the movie and feel surprised and experience it like I did. And at first when I left the theater, I was like, it was good. And then the more I thought about it, you just get more intrigued by it. And you're like, I really, really love this movie. I left it going, I liked this movie. It was good. And then when I was thinking about it on the way home, I was like, I love this movie. And I'm really curious to see if they're going to go with the Speaker for the Dead route for the sequel, if they get to make a sequel. So go out there and see it so I can see the sequel, dang it. I mean, I'm not being selfish or anything, but go out there because I want to see the sequel whether you do or not. It's just so interesting what they do with all of that, with all these characters. And you really just love every character. You buy that that's the character. You're like, that is the character that I read in the book. And there's certain moments that are cut short that you obviously know that they have runtime, but you sit there and go, yeah, that's what I remember from the book. If you just read the book, put it down, and someone said, recite to me the book of Ender's Game in detail, and you did that, that is exactly what this movie is. And the visual effects, beautiful, of course, especially the games. When they're playing the games, you're sitting there going, whoa, I am in zero gravity. Not quite as good as Gravity's gravity, but still, visually, you are intrigued the entire time. It reminded me of Prometheus in terms of visual beauty. It looked so good. And you're sitting there during like their simulations, and he's sitting there commanding his troops like you see in the trailer. The video game, that is the coolest video game like HUD ever, and why can't the Kinect do that? Yeah, get on that Xbox. I honestly have to say, I was so happy with the book. I'm so happy it doesn't suck, especially because it's from the director of X-Men Origins Wolverine. And when I found that out, I was like, oh. But then I watched the movie and I sat there and went, oh, this guy doesn't suck all the time. And so I honestly am so happy. This had to beat pre-production odds. It had to beat every odd, and it succeeded. I will own this on Blu-ray. This movie is a 90%. Absolutely a stunning film. Right now, I think it's one of the best of the year. You could call me a fanboy, but you know what? It's my review, and reviews are just people's opinions. So if you don't like my opinion, well then too bad. It's not your opinion, it's mine. So go out and see the movie. Tell me what you thought of it. If you guys have read the books, tell me, do you want them to go for Speaker of the Dead first or another book? Because there's a bunch of them. So tell me. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. We got more coming to you.